In a realm where mortals and magic intertwined, the history of this world unfolded amidst turmoil and chaos, a tale of relentless conflict and unwavering hope. The land was dominantly divided among various races: humans, elves, dwarves, trolls, lizardfolk, all caught in a ceaseless war against a formidable and malevolent force, the Queen of Demons. At this time, the entire fabric of existence trembled with the ongoing struggle, as the Demon Queen and her armies swiftly annihilated opposing forces, their power overwhelming all resistance. Despite the combined strength of the various races, each fighting desperately, the demon army, under her command, moved with ruthless efficiency. Their assaults were devastating. Castles fell, armies shattered, and entire civilizations teetered on the brink of extinction. It was said that the punishment inflicted by these demons was so brutal that many humans began contemplating surrender, seeking salvation in despair as hope waned. The relentless onslaught sparked widespread rebellions among those fighting back, but even these uprisings faltered against the unyielding might of the demon forces. Amidst this chaos, a pivotal event occurred. Elizabeth, recognized as the strongest demon queen throughout history, ascended to the throne, consolidating authority over the remnants of the fractured world. Her ascension marked the dawn of a new era, one defined by her unmatched power and control over all races. When Elizabeth finally took her seat upon the throne, a cautious priest approached her, warning her with grave words. He said, "Do not imagine that victory is assured, Elizabeth. In the future, a hero shall come, and he will end your reign completely." Before she could respond, a human servant, one of her aides, intervened abruptly. Without warning, he delivered a forceful kick to the queen's head, shouting with disdain, "Show some respect to the queen." This servant was no ordinary figure. He was a human trained to be a prophesied hero, destined to save the world and vanquish evil. However, in a twist of treachery, he abandoned his humanity and adopted a demonic form. Driven by hatred and betrayal, he launched himself at the priest with murderous intent, aiming to kill him in a surge of violent fury. In that critical moment, Elizabeth's commanding voice cut through the chaos. She ordered her servant to halt, and turning to the priest, she asked, "What is this talk of a hero and a prophecy that ends with my defeat?" Her voice was calm but tinged with suspicion. She added, "Explain what this means. More than 1,000 ways worse than death exist to make you suffer." The priest responded with solemn sincerity. He declared that the prophecy foretold that when a certain hero would appear and pull the sword embedded in the ground, that would be the day humanity would finally overthrow the demons and reclaim the earth. He explained that the sword was located in the central hall of her castle. Curious, Elizabeth decided to investigate. She went to the hall and saw the legendary blade stuck in the ground. As her gaze lingered on it, she contemplated the moment the hero would come to wield that sword. Her thoughts turned to her own demise, pondering, when will this happen? When will the hero finally emerge? Driven by this thought, she prepared her army for the awaited arrival of the chosen one. Years passed, then 2, then 3, and even 4, yet the anticipated hero did not arrive. Over time, the castle's defenses waned as the protective forces guarding the entrance weakened, until only a handful of soldiers remained to watch over the fortress. Years turned into 15, and still the hero, the supposed savior, remained absent. Meanwhile, life in the city outside gradually stabilized. Different races, humans, lizard folk, trolls, and others, began coexisting peacefully, abandoning the chaos of war. Most citizens no longer desired the hero's return, fearing that his presence would ignite another devastating conflict. They understood that a new war would cost countless lives, and that entire empires would need rebuilding. A faction had even formed opposing the hero's supposed coming, fearing the chaos it might bring. Within the castle, the Demon Queen questioned her advisors. Someone asked if there were updates about that troublesome hero who refused to appear. An elf responded that he had contacted all trees, plants, and insects across the entire planet, but nobody knew the hero's whereabouts. And dwarf dismissed the idea, scoffing that he had not been able to gather any information from any of the countless weapons and armories that dotted the world. The traitor, still representing humanity, claimed that there was no point in worrying. The hero, he argued, likely stood no chance against the queen now. Yet, a demon whispering from her side cautioned her to be wary. Beware. The queen does not fear the prophecy, he warned. She desires it to come true, and she wants the hero to arrive here and challenge her. It's better not to talk about it too much. She's been irritable for the last 15 years. The elf, however, suggested that the prophecy was probably a farce. It's likely a falsehood, she said, and that hero might not even exist at all. At that moment, an agent carrying a symbol of the Anti-Hero Association, a warning device, entered, visibly furious. His behavior had changed dramatically. The once composed messenger now radiated rage. The queen seized him with shadowy tendrils, demanding, "Didn't you say a hero from the prophecy would come and remove this cursed sword?" She cast a piercing gaze and demanded, "Where is our #1 fan now?" The messenger replied bitterly that the hero's appearance had failed to trigger the prophecy because humanity had not been able to forge a being as mighty as the prophecy promised. The demon's servant agreed, nodding, whispering that the hero hadn't stood a chance, and that the prophecy had likely failed altogether. The queen, furious beyond measure, threw her subordinate against the wall. Her voice resonated with rage. "Where is this accursed hero? I've reached the pinnacle of power, yet I still need to eliminate him." She admitted that she had studied every power on the planet, learning the forbidden magic of the apocalypse itself, desperately seeking to face the hero in combat. But despite all her efforts, she had no idea of the hero's whereabouts. Her gaze fell once more on the embedded sword, and a sudden resolve formed. "Fine," she declared. "Since you didn't come for me, I shall go to you." With renewed determination, she began to draw the sword from the ground, risking everything. Her subordinates begged her to stop, pleading that she would die if she did so. But her obsession over the prophecy kept her steadfast. As she grasped the hilt, the energy around her erupted violently, causing the castle to tremble and burst into chaos. An explosion of magical force enveloped everything, stunning her and her soldiers, who scrambled to escape the deadly wave of destruction. Amid the chaos, she managed to perceive whose call the sword was making. Her eyes scanned the entire planet, focusing on a small, humble dwelling situated in the middle of nowhere. A little house, seemingly forgotten by the world. She murmured, "So that's where you're hiding," and activated a teleportation spell. Her followers, trembling with fear, begged her to reconsider. "Please, Your Majesty," they pleaded, "do not go. Allow me to serve you." And in that secluded farmstead, life continued peacefully. A young boy, wearing a worn straw hat, sat outside in the grass, wiping sweat from his brow. He looked at the tranquil fields around him, lush green expanses filled with crops, and spoke softly to himself. "Agriculture is so peaceful here." It was obvious that this boy was the hero everyone awaited, though few knew his true identity. His life had been simple and humble before he was reincarnated into this world. In his previous life, he was just an ordinary person, worked tirelessly from dawn to dusk with little leisure or hobbies. He rarely played video games or read, his sole source of entertainment being short videos about farming that he watched on social media during his commutes. He would think wistfully, "Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could live a life just tending to crops and enjoying peace without worries?" That dream seemed distant until fate intervened. Suddenly, he was transported into this fantastical world through a mysterious system designed for beginners. It was a unique system that introduced him to the basics of becoming a hero, awakening latent powers within him. All the while, he remained unaware of the world's greater struggles and the epic conflicts unfolding around him. Once upon a time, in a world crafted from the limitless boundaries of imagination, there was a humble farmer who dreamt of adventures beyond the fields and forests. For years, he had been content with the simple pleasures of tending his crops, raising animals, and living a peaceful life away from the chaos of heroism and grand quests. His heart was rooted in the land he loved, and his hands knew only the rhythms of rural life. But fate, as it often does, was about to introduce a twist. One day, out of nowhere, a mysterious system appeared before him, a digital voice that echoed in his mind, announcing that he had completed the beginner's stage. It congratulated him and told him he was now capable of beginning his true adventure. The system explained that beyond this small village lay a vast, unexplored world filled with challenges and opportunities. There would be individuals to meet, skills and magic to learn, and formidable foes to face. The system's words painted a picture of grandeur. With time and effort, he could master blades, harness powerful spells, and grow into the legendary hero destined to defeat the Demon Queen. However, the man, comforted by his previous life, hesitated. He found no desire to risk his simple existence. Why seek out danger when the tranquility of his farm was so satisfying? The system, persistent yet unable to compel, urged him to reconsider. It emphasized that the Demon Queen was ravaging the land, causing destruction and despair, and that he was the chosen one to bring salvation. Despite the system's repeated insistence, he remained unmoved. He pondered whether he truly wanted to delve into that chaos, or if he could simply stay where he was, living out his days in peace. Over time, the system grew frustrated. It repeatedly urged him to start his journey, promising rewards and glory, but he dismissed these hints, choosing instead to remain on his farm. After a while, the system's patience eroded into anger, and it scolded him harshly, condemning his complacency. It accused him of wasting potential, of only trading points for mundane items, and of shirking his divine mission. This clash reached a head when the system, in a fit of rage, collapsed and ceased to send messages. The world seemed to slow down. Life grew serene once more. The farmer, indifferent to the system's protests, decided to continue his peaceful existence. He went about his daily chores, planting crops, tending animals, and enjoying the quietude of rural life. One ordinary day, as he was gathering food, he realized he had left his axe in the woods. He decided to retrieve it, unaware that ominous clouds were gathering above. The weather shifted suddenly as dark energies concentrated in the skies, heralding the arrival of the Demon Queen herself, the ultimate antagonist in this unfolding saga. She had finally pinpointed the hero's location and was descending from the heavens to confront him. Meanwhile, the hero's small farm was far from prepared for such a confrontation. As he hurried to gather his belongings, he noticed the skies darkening and felt a strange sensation of energy pulsating overhead. His mind raced. What could this be? In the distance, the Demon Queen appeared, her majestic and intimidating figure overshadowing everything, emitting an aura of immense power. He recalled the stories, the prophecies about the legendary hero foretold to face her. Yet, he felt only apprehension. As he looked around for something to defend himself, he spotted his modest belongings on a nearby clothesline. Some worn garments, a few fish he caught, and his trusty axe forgotten in the woods. Grabbing these hurriedly, he sensed the weight of his new reality upon him. The Demon Queen hovered above, her eyes fixed on him. She declared her arrival, calling him out as the prophesied hero of countless legends. Her voice was commanding, leaving no room for doubt, a force that demanded recognition. In her arrogance, she ominously mentioned that this mere farmer was the hero she had been searching for. Caught off guard, the hero's heart pounded. He was terrified and uncertain but knew he could not run forever. As the queen's gaze locked onto him, she hurled a shining sword in his direction, an enchanted weapon that found its way into his hand. It seemed to glow with a strange energy, confirming his destiny as the hero. Despite the confirmation, he recoiled in fear. He had no desire to wield the sword, nor did he wish to become a legendary figure fighting monsters and demons. He pleaded with her to take back her weapon, expressing that he was no hero, only an ordinary man. The Demon Queen, unimpressed by his reluctance, grew angry, suspecting that he was hiding a profound power within. She saw him as a potential threat and decided to test him further. She unleashed her fury, sending a barrage of meteor-like projectiles towards his humble house. The hero's faithful dog, a small mechanical creature, began to bark anxiously. Sensing danger, he told the dog to seek shelter, while himself watching as explosions erupted around him. The dog gestured upward, indicating the presence of the Demon Queen. He looked up at her, realizing that she was angry and scrutinizing him closely. He whispered aloud, asking what appeared in the sky. The Demon Queen, overhearing, responded with annoyance, displeased that he was not paying attention. She launched a spell of her own, tossing a glowing object in his direction. His instinct was to dodge, but instead, he instinctively caught the sword that had come flying toward him. This confirmed that he was indeed the hero destined to confront her. Yet, he felt overwhelmed by fear and helplessness. He tried to refuse the weapon, telling her to take it back. But the Demon Queen's eyes flashed with impatience. She started to suspect that he was hiding some hidden power, capable perhaps of great destruction, something she wished to unleash. She called upon her mightiest magic, unleashing a devastating attack meant to obliterate everything in sight. Her power shimmered like a blinding storm of energy, stretching across the darkened sky. The hero watched helplessly as the scene unfolded, his heart pounding with dread. Suddenly, a small black orb formed in the air, crafted by his loyal robotic dog. It hovered and then shot forward, colliding with the queen's spell. A shockwave erupted, and for a moment, everything seemed to freeze. The attack was absorbed into a swirling black hole, devouring the Demon Queen's spell in an instant. She was left stunned, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Her overwhelming power was gone, swallowed by the black void. Meanwhile, inside his humble home, the hero lay on his bed, exhausted and resigned. He knew that his fate was sealed. He had no skills with swords or magic, nothing to defend himself with, and so he chose to wait for the end, accepting his inevitable doom. From her vantage point above, the Demon Queen observed the strange turn of events. To her, it seemed that her opponent was more formidable than anticipated. Her frustration grew as she realized that even her most powerful magic was nullified. She decided to escalate her assault, unleashing her full destructive potential. Lightning, fire, and storms all converging in a final, catastrophic display. Yet, as she prepared her most destructive spell, her loyal mechanical dog once again stepped in with precise calculations. It conjured a dark sphere, racing toward her cataclysmic attack. Her eyes widened in surprise, not because she underestimated her foe, but because she saw a resilience that defied explanation, an unexpected strength emerging from the seemingly powerless farmer. The black orb collided with her spell, disrupting it and causing a black hole of unimaginable power. This vortex swallowed her energies, leaving her momentarily stunned. The aftermath was stark. Her power diminished, her plans thwarted. She retreated momentarily, unsure of her next move, while the hero in the house remained motionless, awaiting whatever would come next. Unknown to her, from within the house, the hero quietly contemplated his fate. He had no hope of victory. He had never trained or prepared for battle. His life had revolved around simple routines, and now, facing her, he felt only despair. Yet, he made a silent decision. If this was his end, he would accept it calmly, making peace with his humble existence. And so, the story paused at this pivotal moment. The fate of the hero and the Demon Queen hung on the edge of darkness, with battles yet to come, or perhaps, the end of all things for the modest farmer who had unwittingly become embroiled in cosmic conflicts beyond his understanding. Once again, the enemy prepared his missiles, and a thunderous explosion shattered the silence. Meanwhile, our protagonist remained deep in sleep, blissfully unaware of the chaos unfurling. After some time, he stirred, opening his eyes with a confused expression. A thought flickered through his mind. Am I dead? No, I haven't died yet. This is all so strange. I am still in my home. Curious and cautious, he slowly got up and decided to venture outside. His steps were hesitant, uncertainty clouding his mind. As he approached the door, he hesitated, clutching the doorknob tightly. Fear gripped him at the thought of opening the door and seeing the queen there, ready to strike him down without hesitation. He summoned his courage and slowly turned the handle. Peering through the gap, his eyes widened in shock. There she was, an expressionless figure holding their small dog. The scene was utterly destroyed. Furniture shattered, walls scarred, personal belongings scattered across the floor. His heart ached at the sight, and instinctively, he called out to the dog by name. Wanai. The queen, with a sarcastic tone, responded coldly, "Oh, I'm sorry. I had to completely destroy that magical tool you cherish so much." Her words cut deep. The hero, trembling with fear, managed to speak. "Can we talk? Please? Just for a moment, Queen." The queen's reply was sharp yet calm. "Of course, after I kill you first." Internally, she marveled at the bizarre situation. How the magic tool had compelled her to use her entire power. Could this be the end for her? Suddenly, she fainted, collapsing heavily onto the wreckage-strewn floor. Without hesitation, our hero rushed to her side, concern etched across his face. He began carefully removing her armor, which had been sustained by magic. As he did so, the magical bindings disintegrated, revealing more of her. It was clear she was bleeding from her nose, a recurring issue for him. Later that night, she awoke in a bed, shackled with enchanted chains. As awareness dawned on her, her mind raced. Her thoughts were vivid and full of disbelief. She pondered, could I really be Elizabeth? The legendary queen, the strongest ruler of countless millennia, defeated so pathetically? And in the moment of her weakness, instead of being slain, she was imprisoned. All this, she realized, was just a display of her opponent's staggering strength. She struggled against the shackles, trying to free herself. Her mind spun with questions. How did this hero, a figure from tales, possess such unparalleled power? Was he hiding something even worse than she knew? Her gaze swept across the cell, identifying scattered chess pieces, cards from a deck, and other strange objects she had never seen before. Everything indicated that this hero was far more cunning than she had presumed. Her respect for him grew, albeit grudgingly, while her pride simmered with anger at her predicament. Suddenly, the door opened. The hero entered, holding a small dish of food. She looked at him coldly, saying, "Fine, if you want to kill me, go ahead. Don't expect me to beg for mercy." Yet, inside, she was seething. A different emotion stirred in her. Curiosity mingled with frustration. He only thought about how furious he was inside. This queen was immensely powerful, and her mere presence was a thorn in his side. His reason for speaking was clear. These chains he had placed upon her were merely a precaution. He was convinced she was formidable but not insurmountable. From her perspective, she interpreted his words differently. He was implying, without directly saying it, that she was weaker than him, that he deemed her unworthy, fragile enough to be subdued. Her mind raced to understand his true intentions. Was this a ploy, an attempt to break her spirit, a contemptuous show of dominance? He approached with a reassuring tone, saying, "I think there's been some misunderstanding. I'll remove these chains so that we can communicate calmly." The queen's thoughts quickly turned bitter. She perceived this as a calculated move, an insult cloaked in civility. How dare he underestimate her? She seethed with indignation, her pride wounded. He, oblivious to her inner turmoil, demonstrated by unfastening the shackles, that his only intention was to clarify matters. "There, I've set you free. Now we can talk openly, just as equals," he said. But she saw it as a challenge, a way to show her her place. To her, he was cruelly dismissive, assuming she was helpless. Her patience wore thin, yet she kept her composure, refusing to show her rising anger. He began to leave the room, a slight tremor in his steps, and ordered her to rest. But then, he unexpectedly broke the fourth wall, the barrier between the story and the reader. Turning directly to the audience, he explained, "You might be wondering why I haven't killed the Demon Queen yet. In this world, it's quite common for demon queens to be revived immediately after death. If I kill her now, she'll come back, An endless cycle. The only way to truly end this is to eliminate her permanently. No more battles. No more threats. If I can keep her from becoming a danger, perhaps I can even befriend her, and we could find peace. He chuckled quietly, as if amused by the absurdity of the situation, while the queen watched him with narrowed eyes, thinking, "He keeps laughing at my expense." Holding their dog, he remarked, "Oh, my little buddy, you're all torn to pieces. Looks like you've had a rough time," with genuine concern. The queen, observing the scene, said quietly, "So, this is your most powerful magic tool?" The hero considered her question, then replied, "It's not precisely a magic tool. It's more like an invention I created when I was feeling bored. One of my last projects." Her lips curled into a subtle smile, contemplating her new advantage. She realized that by removing the chains, he had unknowingly allowed her to tap into her hidden magic, an abyssal secret, and recover her strength instantly. The situation was turning in her favor. Without his robotic protection, the battle's balance had shifted completely. She knew that her chance to strike back was near. "Time to end this," she whispered. He responded calmly, "Sorry for breaking your stuff, mighty hero, but all my memory devices are still intact." Behind him, her eyes gleamed with anticipation. This was her perfect moment. She prepared to strike. Suddenly, he activated a hidden mechanism, his last resort, and a new program ignited. The small dog, Lipin, leapt joyfully into the room, its tail wagging wildly as it activated a device embedded in its collar, transforming into a combat-ready form. He casually remarked, "I like having company, but they tend to be quite unruly. So, I only have one active at the moment." From his perspective, everything was part of an elaborate plan to embarrass the queen, to show her she underestimated him. Watching her face distort with rage, he thought, "This is too easy." Meanwhile, she was left in shock, unable to comprehend what was happening. But then, a whiff of something unfamiliar entered her nose. She paused and sniffed the air. What's that smell?" she wondered. Lipin responded cheerfully, "I noticed you fainted, so I prepared some food to warm you up." He placed the meal before her, made from ingredients he had cultivated himself during his time as a farmer. His skills had reached their peak after many years of cultivation. The queen looked at the food, then asked, "Why did you bother?" "Only the weak need to eat. I have transcended that need. I don't require these things anymore." She spat out her words, proud and defiant, as if declaring her superiority. Her pride was palpable, yet beneath her tone, a flicker of curiosity remained. She wondered what other secrets this hero might be hiding. The battle was far from over, but for now, she kept her individual strategies hidden behind a mask of contempt and regal composure. As the aroma of the freshly prepared dish wafted through the air, a sense of anticipation filled the small, humble home. Our hero, having spent countless days honing his culinary skills, proudly looked over the array of vegetables and grains he had cultivated himself. As he presented the food, he hoped that his efforts would somehow bridge the gap of misunderstanding that loomed between them. He gently urged the figure sitting before him to taste his creation. The figure, hesitant at first, remained silent, weighing her doubts against her curiosity. Yet, driven by an unspoken desire, she finally took a small bite, then another and another. With each chew, she was astonished by the explosion of flavors within her mouth. The juicy flesh of the meat seemed to burst into a symphony of sizzling fireworks, filling her senses with unparalleled delight. What surprised her even more was the naturalness of the taste, complemented by an intense influx of magical energy cascading from the dish. It was hard to believe that such delicacies existed in this world. Dishes so exquisite that even the demon queen herself would be captivated by their allure. Unable to resist, she devoured the remainder of the meal with fervor, feeling a growing sense of intoxication from the rich, magical nourishment. Suddenly, a fiery heat erupted within her, and she grimaced, complaining loudly about the spiciness that overwhelmed her senses. Lips trembling, She yelled out, questioning what had been done to her food. The hero, looking slightly guilty but mostly confused, explained that he had just added a bit of chili, something she liked, assuming it would bring a spark of excitement to the meal. She pondered for a moment, realizing that perhaps the demon queen could not tolerate such heat. Her face contorted in discomfort as she struggled to endure the burning sensation. The hero, sensing her distress, quickly presented a bowl of soup, claiming it would soothe her fiery tongue and alleviate the burning. She shot a wary glance at him, contemplating his intentions, and thought bitterly about the dangerous game she was caught in. It struck her then, this hero, with his innocent smile and kind words, was merely using her for his experiments, manipulations cloaked beneath the veneer of friendliness. Yet, unexpectedly, amidst her frustrations, a strange sensation crept over her. It was as if a gentle transcendence lifted her spirits, and suddenly, she found herself soaring, as if carried by unseen wings. Within this divine flight of sensory pleasure, the taste of the hero's cooking turned into a profound sense of peace. The chaos of their ongoing conflict faded into insignificance, replaced by a calm that washed over her like a gentle tide. She began to contemplate her own insignificance, recognizing the triviality of her role in this grand, turbulent world. The magical intensity of the food was astonishing. It was capable of evolution, growing stronger with each consumption. Confused and intrigued, the demon queen eyed the hero and addressed him with a mixture of curiosity and defensiveness. Her gaze sharpened as she questioned his intentions. "Stop pretending," she demanded softly, a flicker of suspicion crossing her face. "What is it that you truly want from me?" Lipin, the hero, looked away awkwardly, his cheeks flushing with embarrassment. He admitted that his true goal was simple. He merely wanted to investigate whether a partnership between the demon queen and himself was even feasible. But she misunderstood entirely, imagining a different scenario. "Thinking in this world," she said coldly. "You are the only one qualified to be my research subject, since you are the hero. So come here, and I will help you become stronger. One day, perhaps, you might even be able to defeat me." The hero hesitated for a moment, then asked, "Are you okay with that? Because I will continue to prepare delicious meals for you." Her expression darkened, tinged with a strange mixture of defiance and resolve. She thought inwardly that a knight could die, but she would never allow herself to be humiliated or subjugated. As the great demon queen, her dignity was everything. Any violation of her honor, even at the cost of her life, would be met with destruction. She proclaimed defiantly, "If it comes to that, I will destroy everything, even if I have to sacrifice everything I am." Her voice was unwavering, filled with fierce determination. The hero, trembling slightly, responded meekly, "Understood. Understood. Let's remain friends then. We will stay close to each other." She fixed him with an intense gaze and nodded. "Fine, if you're interested in conducting your research freely, then do so. And one more thing. If you have anything truly delicious, share it with me." Thus, a year passed in this strange companionship. The hero, wielding the legendary sword of prophecy, was busy chopping firewood, lost in thought. The situation had become more complicated after the demon queen forcibly entered his home, revealing it, an act that exposed its concealed existence to the entire world. No longer able to hide, his refuge was now often within sight of wandering monsters and curious creatures, none of whom dared to attack once they sensed her presence. Still, he was painfully aware that, should she leave, his sanctuary might be lost entirely. From inside the house, the demon queen raged on, demanding her midday meal with growing impatience. In his mind, the hero knew he couldn't let her escape. She was his protector, his shield against external threats. Meanwhile, in a different part of the house, the mischievous demon queen was watching a series of incredibly high-quality videos. After consuming substantial amounts of food over the past year, she had gained a bit of weight. She sighed and muttered, "I'm bored of watching the same videos over and over." Liping, her ever-present assistant, responded quickly, "I told you. The system disappeared a long time ago. The queen considered rising from her seat but, instead, conjured a pair of wings to fly smoothly to the dining table. As she looked at Liping, she commented, "What kind of poison is in these chips? The more I eat, the lazier I feel." She began to suspect that the snacks contained some slow-acting poison designed to paralyze her, a tool to drag her into total depravity with lurid images and provocative content. Liping tried to clarify, "They're just high-calorie snacks. If you eat a lot, you'll gain weight and feel sluggish." She looked down at her stomach, which confirmed her fears. But then, with a burst of magic, she transformed the energy stored in her belly into potent magical power, making herself appear more attractive than ever. The hero was stunned, realizing that such magic was possible. She caught him staring and said with a teasing smirk, "Another of your tricks didn't work. Are you disappointed?" Liping responded, "Yes, I am very disappointed." She then turned her attention to the food on the table and declared, "Today's meal looks perfect. I won't hold back," and eagerly began to eat. Liping muttered under his breath, "No matter how much I cook, there's always more. I suppose I'll need to get used to this, since we'll be living like this for quite a while." However, her thoughts were entirely different. She believed he was simply weak. Her plan was clear, to feed him until he grew fat enough to be defeated easily. He got up and announced, "I'll go fetch some more," and headed out, leaving her to ponder her next move with a mixture of amusement and determination. Once upon a time, in a land filled with magic, adventure, and mysterious beings, there was a young hero named Lipin. His journey was anything but ordinary, marked by encounters that tested his strength, resolve, and cunning. Yet, despite the many challenges, Lipin's spirit remained unbreakable, pushing him forward through the chaos and wonder that enveloped his world. The story begins with Lipin feeling the weight of frustration. He was deeply troubled by a certain individual who persistently mistreated him, treating him with contempt even as he fed him enchanted foods, mysterious delicacies that seemed to be evolving him more and more each day. His powers had grown significantly over the course of the year, more than 10 times, yet he sensed this was not enough. An inner fire ignited within him, fueling the resolve to confront his tormentor in what he knew would be the decisive battle of his life. As the moment of confrontation drew near, Lipin found himself clutching a humble pudding, his favorite treat. The scene shifted suddenly. The queen's eyes sparkled with anticipation as she approached happily to indulge. To her, this simple dessert symbolized comfort and joy, yet for Lipin, it represented his courage and strategy. He silently thought, despite her being a demonic queen, she was not so difficult to appease, if only one possessed the right offering. With a gentle smile, he presented the pudding, and her expression brightened instantly. Her happiness was contagious, and she eagerly began to feast. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the realm, a different tale unfolded, a chase that illuminated the perilous nature of their world. An elderly man hurriedly ran, leading a young blonde girl behind him. They were being relentlessly pursued by shadowy creatures cloaked in purple capes and masked in white. These beings wielded destructive magic, launching bursts of energy that forced the elderly man and girl into a precarious trap, a magical cage that suddenly imprisoned them. Faced with mortal danger, the man turned to his daughter and declared resolutely, "I will hold them back here. Run to the city and find safety." The girl, filled with fear and love, protested, "I don't want to leave you here alone. We should escape together." But her father, gazing at her with unwavering resolve, responded, "I promised your mother I would protect you until the very end." The threat of the enemies grew more imminent as they prepared a colossal spell meant to annihilate them all. In that critical moment, the father summoned his most potent power. From his hands, a brilliant beam of white light shot forth, slicing through the enemy's magic conjurations and piercing their defenses. Yet, the beings seemed almost invincible. They could reform rapidly, appearing to be composed of slimy, malleable substance, making them difficult to kill. The girl fired an arrow, but her attacks merely passed through the monsters' bodies, ineffective against their amorphous forms. The father sternly warned her, "Your arrows won't save us. Run away now while you still can. Just as the monster prepared to strike her, the father shielded her with his body, defending her fiercely. Sadly, he was struck down, thrown back against a jagged rock, blood pouring from his wounds. He was battered, bleeding, near death, and in his pain he whispered, "Run! Don't come back for me. Save yourself." From the shadows, the creatures' bodies began to merge and transform, swelling into a grotesque giant monster, a nightmare incarnate. The girl cried out in desperation, pleading with the beast, "Please, I'll go with you. Just let my father live," her voice trembling as she faced imminent death. Suddenly, a colossal figure emerged, crushing the monstrous abomination beneath enormous, powerful limbs. Seated upon a towering mammoth was an old ninja-style frog, the supreme leader of a clan of wise and mighty beings. On top of the frog's head was a tiny dog-shaped robot, the hero's loyal companion and a symbol of hope amidst chaos. The frog, with a voice that commands respect, addressed his little robotic friend. "Brother, what shall we do with these innocent humans?" The robot, wagging its tiny tail, replied softly, "I won't harm them. I'll take them back to our master." The scene shifted swiftly. The girl awakened within the humble abode of Lipin's mentor, a wise figure whose home was peaceful and simple. Confused about her surroundings, she looked around, her mind racing. She wondered aloud, "Where am I? What happened? Last I remember, my father was about to die right beside me." She scrambled to her feet and dashed towards the door, only to be greeted by her father, who was striking strange poses reminiscent of a bodybuilder. Lipin, witnessing the unusual display, asked curiously, "Wow, how do I get a physique like that?" Her father responded with a knowing smile, "A warrior's strength starts with discipline. It's essential to take care of yourself." Lipin's eyes widened with fascination. "So, this is the fighting art I've heard so much about? It's incredible." In the same moment, the tiny dog companion trotted cheerfully around the queen, who was visibly irritated. She kicked the dog playfully and snapped, "Who brought these two into my home? Stupid dog." The dog's feelings were hurt. It lowered its head and began to whimper softly, showing its innocence. Meanwhile, Lipin stood in awe, admiring his father's remarkable resilience and strength. The father, noticing his daughter's concern, began to explain. "I was unconscious and only have a faint memory of what transpired," he admitted. "But I do recall the dog bringing me here, and once I drank that potion, I healed instantly. It made me stronger than I've ever been before." Turning to his daughter, he added, "If not for Lipin, I wouldn't have been able to see you again." The girl's eyes shimmered with hope and gratitude, while Lipin looked modestly at the scene. "Adventurers like you are humble but brave," he said. "You can trust this potion. It's truly powerful." They both gratefully drank the mysterious liquid, which seemed to carry immense magic. Suddenly, their bodies shimmered with newly gained power. In an astonishing transformation, the father advanced from a 3-star archmage to a 4-star, his aura glowing brighter than before. His daughter's magic level also soared, shifting from a 1-star mage to a 1-star archmage. She felt a strange sensation, like her elf bloodline, inherited from her mother, awakened anew. Her ears grew pointed and elongated, marking her evolution. Both of them were overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of Lipin's strength. The gap between them and him was vast, almost insurmountable. A wave of despair washed over them as they realized just how far they stood from their young hero's power. Yet, Lipin, ever compassionate, looked at their disappointment and reassured them gently, "Relax. I'll get you another cup. There's no need to worry." His words seemed to soothe some of their unease, but a deep sense of humility remained. They understood that they had entered a new realm of strength, a realm they might never fully reach. Nonetheless, their admiration for Lipin deepened, inspired by his unyielding determination and extraordinary abilities. The vastness of his potential seemed to dwarf their previous understanding of power, leaving them both humbled and somewhat disheartened. And so, their journey continued, marked by growth, discovery, and the everlasting pursuit of strength in a world where magic and might intertwined in endless wonder. Once upon a time, in the depths of a land shrouded in mystery and ancient history, a figure of great importance sat quietly, contemplating the delicate balance of power and the fragile fate that hung in the air. The noble man, known as Lord Liping, possessed a mind as sharp as the blade of a sword, and a soul imbued with wisdom beyond his years. He regarded the scene unfolding before him with an air of calm resignation, yet beneath his composed exterior simmered a profound sense of urgency. The setting was an austere chamber, dimly lit by flickering flames casting dancing shadows on the stone walls. Inside, a tense gathering of individuals from disparate worlds convened. A hero, a princess, and a regal yet formidable queen. Their presence was a testament to a history riddled with conflict, secrets, and unspoken stories that stretched back across generations. The hero, a steadfast young man, reflected a sense of inner resolve. His gaze was weighed down by the burden of knowledge, and though his face bore hints of weariness, his spirit remained unbroken. Beside him, a princess of elven descent sat with a troubled expression, her eyes darting anxiously around the room. The queen, adorned in regal finery, exuded an aura of both authority and vulnerability, revealing the complexities of her long and tumultuous reign. The dialogue commenced with a tone of cautious diplomacy. Lord Liping, perceiving the gravity of the situation, expressed his understanding that the path to peace was fraught with difficulties. "It is enough," he stated softly, "to believe that the divine ruler Lord Liping is a person beyond reproach. We cannot afford to impose additional burdens on him." Our hero agrees, nodding thoughtfully, and offers to serve drinks and food, hoping to ease the tension. Yet, to his dismay, Elizabeth, a young woman who had clandestinely taken and hidden supplies, had made it impossible to do so. Should he attempt to reveal the provisions, she would act violently, claiming the goods as her own and warning others against taking what was hers. With a resigned sigh, the hero speaks once more, acknowledging the scarcity of resources. "We truly have nothing left to offer," he confesses. "I'm sorry, but we have been attacked." The room grows heavier with silence as the hero's companions seek answers. The town's elder, a humble father figure, explains their plight. "We were assaulted because of the elvish bloodline within his daughter," he reveals. His wife, a noble elf, was a revered figure, a devout saint of her people. However, her consort was a human, and interbreeding was forbidden among elves. The protagonist then inquires sharply, "Are the elves hunting you because of this?" The queen intervenes, cutting through the narrative with a commanding voice. "Stop lying," she commands. "The demon queen forbade such marriages long ago when she waged her conquest over the world." The father continues, describing a lengthy tale. "It's a complicated story," he admits, "but ever since my wife was summoned back to her elven homeland, I've had to hide my daughter's existence. Our enemies have grown restless." Clever eyes, especially those of Lord Liping, flicker with suspicion as he questions further. "Do they know where you are? How were you discovered?" The father responds with somber clarity. "My wife was sacrificed for this reason. Since her return to her elven tribe, they have ceased hunting us. But now, it is the dark guild of the demon realm that searches for us." A ripple of apprehension passed through the gathered individuals. Lord Liping's suspicion deepens. "Are demons involved?" he inquires cautiously. The queen, with a hint of disdain, quickly interrupts. "They are mad if they think capturing elves will bring them what they seek. That guild is experimenting on living bodies, attempting to resurrect the demon queen herself. The elves are merely tools in their twisted ambitions. They're so desperate that they hunt even the innocent, including my own daughter, who, despite her mixed lineage, remains a target." Lord Liping's brow furrows. "Could this have anything to do with you?" he asks, voice tense. The queen seizes him roughly by the collar and scolds him fiercely. "Don't ever think that. I have been here, hidden in the shadows, for a year. I see everything you do. Don't even consider such foolishness." Her tone is sharp with warning, yet beneath it lies deep pain. The conversation takes a darker turn as the queen's expression hardens. During my absence, she declares bitterly, the land has fallen into ruin. Who is the one spreading rumors of my demise? The others fall silent, wary of her wrath. The elf, with a somber tone, explains, according to ancient legends, the queen was destroyed by the legendary hero during a battle that lasted more than a month. Ultimately, the hero sacrificed himself to save the continent, perishing alongside the demon queen. A chilling silence descends upon the room. The queen fixes her gaze on her visitors, vivid and penetrating, and then she transports them all into an abyss of death, a nightmare realm where their minds are torn asunder by her wrath. The daughter, trembling, asks her father, "Father, where are we?" The man's voice is strained but calm. "This is her will, a cruel desire to see us dead," he answers. The queen's voice echoes across the void, denying the rumors of her death. "That story is completely false," she declares. "I have been here, lurking in the shadows, unseen for more than 5 centuries. If I were alive, I would have seized control of the world again." Her words carry a finality that leaves no room for doubt. Lord Liping's mind races, clutching at the truth. 500 years, he whispers, stunned. She has lived here with me during this entire time, he realizes. The queen, now seated on a throne of darkness, questions coldly, "What are the rumors about my death?" Her voice drips with suspicion. The elf tells her about the legend, describing how the demon queen was supposedly annihilated by the heroic figure of myth. The father narrates the great battle, recounting that the hero's sacrifice ultimately led to the destruction of both the hero and the demon queen. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. The realm of darkness dissolves, revealing a world bathed in death and desolation. The daughter, frightened, asks her father about their surroundings. "What place is this?" she whispers. Her father responds grimly, "This is her ultimate desire, to see us perish." The demon queen, from her throne of shadows, dismisses the rumor. "That story is entirely fabricated," she states with conviction. Her words echo into the void, dismissing centuries of speculation. Liping, uncertain and trembling, insists that perhaps the story is false, whispering to himself that it must be so. "I also believe it's a false rumor," he murmurs, recalling what the system had told him. The father and daughter, overwhelmed by the flood of revelations, find themselves unable to comprehend the truth behind the sinister web of lies. Liping explains patiently, "This individual here is the renowned Queen Elizabeth, the real Queen Elizabeth." The two stare at him in disbelief, their minds reeling from the barrage of facts. The truth becomes even more disturbing as the queen, observing their confusion, takes a malicious delight. "Look at this fool," she sneers. "I've had her under my control for so long she doesn't even know what to do. I can laugh in her face." With fiery rage, she slams her hand on the table, snarling that she refuses to be kept waiting, toying with their doubts. "Damn you, Liping," she curses, her voice dripping with contempt. "Damn you, repulsive and foolish. It seems I only saved you to humiliate me before this gathering." Her voice trails into bitter echoes as she slams the door and departs. Her departure leaves the others in stunned silence. The father turns to Liping and asks soberly, "What are your plans now? What will you do with us?" The hero, drawing a deep breath, responds cautiously, "Everyone needs to calm down. I do not even know what to do next, especially after Elizabeth shattered the barrier. The timeline inside and outside has become completely chaotic." As evening falls, the daughter, in a quiet voice, admits, "I never imagined our story would unfold like this. It seems that the great demon queen fell in love with the legendary hero, abandoning the entire world just to be with him. It's very much like what you did with Mom." The father quickly dismisses her words. "Stop talking nonsense," he urges. "We can't compare ourselves to them. Besides, right now, Liping might be contemplating whether to kill us or not." The daughter counters softly, "But if she wanted to kill us, She wouldn't have saved us first. Why save us only to then execute us? The father sighs. You didn't taste her tea. Did you realize how distant her power made her? Just seeing her strength, you should understand. To them, we're nothing but insignificant insects. Whether we live or die depends entirely on their current mood. Their conversation is interrupted as the hero enters the room, asking casually, "It looks like you two haven't slept yet. What were you talking about?" The elf, startled, reacts with surprise. Liping, trying to lighten the atmosphere, suggests playing a game of cards, even though the others are unsure. They sit around a small, flickering candle, the faint glow casting uncertain shadows. Liping asks whether they understood everything so far. The father affirms that yes, he understood. Meanwhile, the elf, whose voice trembles with fear, recalls her father's words. This is a test to determine whether Lord Liping will decide to kill us or not. The hero, with a calm resolve, sighs deeply and declares that he will begin dealing the cards. The father, swallowing nervously, asks, Sir Liping, might I inquire about the name of this game? The elf's hands tremble as she fears the worst. A moment of silence hangs in the air before Liping's voice breaks it, calling out the name of the game in a gentle tone. His choices, however, are innocent yet cunning. He speaks of a game that's familiar in their world, a simple pastime with roots deep in tradition. Yet beneath the surface, every gesture, every word is laden with hidden meaning. The danger lurking behind mere amusement is palpable. For Liping, this game is more than a diversion. It is a test of loyalty, trust, and the very fate of their lives. The players around the table realize that their survival hinges on their ability to decipher his intentions. Tensions rise as the night deepens, and the shadows in the room grow darker with each passing moment. In such a world of uncertainty, where ancient legends intertwine with present nightmares, every small act can carry profound consequences. The lines between truth and illusion blur, and the battle for the future begins not with swords or magic, but with words, wit, and the fragile threads of trust. Here, amidst the flickering flame and whispering shadows, destiny waits quietly, poised to decide the fate of all involved. In the midst of a legendary contest, the arena was alive with tension. The challenge was clear: a battle between the forces of dragons and brave heroes. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation, as spectators and participants alike wondered who would emerge victorious from this melee of magic, strategy, and courage. Elizabeth, cloaked in a shimmering disguise, moved cautiously near the focal point of the duel. Her eyes darted nervously but with resolve, knowing that amidst the chaos, she had a crucial role to play. Unbeknownst to her, confusion reigned between the combatants, some vying to be the dragon, others insisting they are heroes destined to prevail. The confusion was palpable as the contenders debated their next move. Suddenly, a figure named Li Ping stepped forward, confidently clutching a deck of mystical cards. His voice was steady, commanding attention. "Let me distribute the cards," he announced, his tone hinting at both authority and secrecy. "Remember, choose wisely, for this may determine your fate." Li Ping cautioned, "First, examine your hands carefully." As each participant reached for their cards, the father and daughter involved exchanged knowing looks, their thoughts racing. This was no ordinary game. It felt like a test designed by unseen forces. The father's gaze lingered on his daughter, silently conveying both trust and concern. He drew a card first, sensing a strange energy emanating from the deck. The elf, standing nearby, drew her card, and suddenly, a vortex of light enveloped both of them. The world around them shifted, transporting them into an enigmatic dimension. The girl wobbled, overwhelmed, clutching at the ground, her face a canvas of worry. Her mind raced, anticipating that her strength was draining rapidly, leaving her powerless. She looked up at her father with regret etched on her face and whispered, "I'm sorry." He nodded reassuringly, attempting to hide his own anxiety. "Leave the rest to me," he said calmly. Meanwhile, Li Ping observed their actions intently, contemplating his next move. He posed a question to the others. Do you want to become the dragon? He scrutinized his hand, weighing his options. Despite a modest collection of cards, his confidence remained high. He held a king, after all, which could prove pivotal. He considered the possibility of winning, but neither the father nor the daughter wished to be the dragon. Instead, they pledged their refusal to accept that fate.